Or the fuck is this? Launcher lurker. Is this a new thing? Did Minecraft add a launch? What? They have a launcher. There's launcher skills now. What is this? What does this mean? Okay, I think I'm gonna have to do, let's see. Okay, so at 11:07, I need to get the pasta. Sure. Yeah. Okay. 14 minutes. Let's see. PC. Right. Okay. Was this how it was when we did it last? Hold on. Sorry, it's gonna be laggy for a sec. Okay. I think that's good. No. It's cut off for some reason. Why? It worked last time. I don't think we had it full screen last time though. For some reason. I don't remember why. Something about it didn't work. Okay, that's gonna have to do for now. Let's see. Good? Is this good? Prismamon. I restarted stream because it seemed a little bit laggy. So not laggy. It was like behind. It usually seems to happen when I play stuff on PC. I guess it just takes more time. Anyway, does my Xbox controller still work for this? She's dead. Just to be able to use it. What if I connect it to the PC? Mind camps and Trico and Torchic and a shiny Trico. Okay. I'm kind of feeling Pixelmon. I don't really know what's going on. I looked it up and apparently there are gym leaders. So I'm like, what if we challenged a gym leader? I wonder if we could. I mean, our levels are kind of terrible right now, but um okay, why is it so laggy today? I guess it's still loading. I don't like how dark it is. Where's my home? I think it's north. It's yeah, I think it's north. Where is my home? Father, when can I go out on my own? Here it is. Home sweet hut. Hut sweet home. Hut sweet home. Let's go sleepy. I think it's about to be day, but whatever. We got a chest of Rooney. Okay, I don't know what the MO is today. I'm just gonna probably just like screw around until we figure out what the heck to do here. I got another chest. Let me get that. Let me get that sucker. The house is probably gonna get pretty small soon. If I had to guess. It's gonna shrink. Not shrink, but we're gonna need more space. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna take this wood. And we're off. We are off. I don't know what to do. I guess we could just like explore. Maybe find some more places. My thing is there not like a world map or something? Daycare. Because I'm scared I'm not going to remember how to get back here. Okay, you know what? Let me be smart. Let me be smart. Okay. I'll set my coordinates. I'll write my coordinates down so I don't forget. If I lose my place, then at least we can come back. We won't forget where we were. That's a big ass Rattata, dude. Alright. X equals -255. Z equals 63. Because Y doesn't really matter. In this case. In terms of the craft. I got 7 minutes before I gotta get the pasta. And we'll take another 5-minute break. Cause baby gotta eat. I wish I had the money to like Postmates or something again, but I just don't. Shit is expensive. Every time it costs like 35 bucks and it's too much. So we will deal with it. So I'm just gonna explore, I guess. Maybe look for some more towns. I don't know. You know, the world is our oyster, or I guess cloister in this instance. I kind of hate that my bar is like salmon colored. Why did I choose that? I should change that. Let me write that down. I don't like the, I don't know, I'm weird about it. Is it just because like there wasn't a good red that I could choose? I don't know. Seasonal deciduous forest. I should, I feel like I should like put some Pokemon music on or something. Do 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 do. I need to find another town. Because I feel like if I find another town, there might be a gym. I don't know how it works. Also, I'm getting hungry. I should probably find some food. I can't believe I left without taking food with me. You know what? In hindsight, I probably should have set up a farm. I think I had carrots and stuff, but I was like, I want to go. I want to get out of here. Is that a Solosis? What level are you? Level 10? Whoa. Tackle. He one-shotted me. Okay, I shouldn't be here. Okay, this was a bad idea. The Pokemons are too strong. I must leave. I must go. Ooh, wait, what is this one? What is this tree? It's nice and green. Whoops. What did I just spawn? Okay. I want this tree. I want to get its saplings. This is a big ass tree, damn. Get this tree, dude. Let me get this tree. Tree. Gonna get the tree. Gonna get the freaking tree. I wanna get the tree. I really gotta pee. That's not true. Well, I mean, I could pee. I don't know if I need to, but like I could. I'm open to the idea of peeing. But I'm not like, I don't feel like I need to, you know? Does that make sense? I feel like I could pee. But I'm not necessarily like, it's not a requirement currently. Like I don't feel the need to pee. I'm just saying like, I could pee, but I don't know if I really need to. Is this a four sapling tree? I'm gonna try and get 4 saplings. The big boy. Big boy. We love the big boys. I'm not seeing any saplings. I guess time to make some more. Another axe. Willow log. Ooh, I'm gonna make. You know what? I'm gonna use the willow logs. I'm gonna use the willow logs. That there green tree. That's what I'm gonna use. What y'all think of green? I like a nice greenhouse. It's a nice color. Green is a good, I think is a good color for, especially a nice like dark green. Very nice. It's a good color. as much as I love the color red, I don't think I would have a red house, you know? I feel like that seems too much. I do love the color red, but like, I don't know if I would, I don't know if red is a good color for a house. Because that's like I feel like that's synonymous with like a barn. You know, that's like, if you got a red house, that's just a barn. Like, where are the animals at? You know what I mean? Where the animals? Where the animals at? I don't see none. I'm looking for some animals. Shout out to all the animals. Sapling. We got 3. That's 4, I think. No? That there bitch flying up in the air. What the hell? Give me a goddamn sapling. I swear to God. Oh, it's time. It's time for me to get my... Alright guys, 5-minute break. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alright, I'm just gonna like let's maybe even watch something. Is there a J Aubrey video? A J Aubrey that I haven't watched yet? Maybe. Excuse me. I don't think I've watched this one. You didn't know Jerry Springer. We're not gonna watch the whole thing. I just. Maybe we can watch. Maybe the Dr. Mike. I saw a lot of people talking about this one. This is probably shorter. Nope, it's an hour and 30 minutes. Cool. Good lord. Alright, whatever. Let's watch the Jobbery video. I'm gonna close out Minecraft for now. Come back to it.
The days of ancient Rome are often reflected on by historians as a time of significant political and cultural expansion, a civilization that laid the groundwork for many modern republics to come after it, including our own. But as with every ancient civilization, there were elements that many consider to be slightly less evolved than the customs of today. One of those being the famous spectacle of gladiatorial combat. At one point in time, gladiator fights were considered a cornerstone of Roman.
Video essays are so fucking funny to me. When I made a video essay, I did the same thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's always like, let's take it back to like 500 years ago when this happened. It's like, do we need to do that? Do we really need to do that?
Society, a form of entertainment for those who wish to see volunteers, slaves, and prisoners face off against one another in a variety of deadly and perilous challenges, drawing crowds in numbers that wouldn't be out of place at a Dallas Cowboys game.
Oh yeah, I just got a case for my tracker phone, so I might put that on. So if I lose tracking for a sec, just know.
Meaning before they became a laughingstock. Yet the demise of Rome brought the demise of this form of entertainment. Nowadays, we see it constrained mostly within the realms of fantasy novels and pretentious YouTube intros. It seems that society collectively agrees that putting the poor and sick on a public stage for everyone to see and watching them fight for their dignity was, in its very nature, exploitative and inhumane. But did it ever really end? One man might beg to differ.
Jesus. Jerry! This case is so heavy. Maybe it's
This
just
is the Jerry Springer Show, and this is Jerry Springer. On the 27th of April, 2023, he passed away at the age of 79. His death was met with reactions that reflected the complex nature of his legacy and the TV format he had long pioneered. But was this always going to be Jerry's legacy, or could his story have been vastly different to the one we know today? I intend to find out.
Well, it's known as the worst TV show of all time, asking ordinary people to confront their problems in explosive ways.
The Jerry Springer Show was the #1 talk show in daytime television. It actually beat Oprah Winfrey at its peak.
Holy shit.
The wild world of Jerry Springer.
Because this show does not constitute an endorsement.
I remember when I was a kid, I would watch Jerry Springer whenever I was like sick at home, quote unquote sick from school.
And yet, it was a talk show where there was very little talking.
Outrageous knockdown, drag-out brawl.
Television does not and must not create values. It's merely a picture of all that's out there, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Where does it all come from?
Does this put the marriage in jeopardy?
You gonna give me my visitation cards and my daughter back, or what?
After the show, I got to thinking, why are these kids filled with hate?
The politicians or companies that seek to control what each of us may watch are far greater danger to America and our treasured freedom than anyone I guess ever could or will be.
But you want to know what really pisses me off about this potential TikTok ban that could still very well happen? That you or I could go to any data broker's website right now and purchase somebody's personal data totally legally. It's a totally legal thing that you can go do right now. Big companies with poor security are
Ethical
every
reacts.
day, and whether you like it or not, your personal information is being sold on the dark web. So spammers, scammers, and identity thieves can target you. And of course, they face zero repercussions for it. If the government can ban TikTok, what makes you think they're going to protect you from these similar practices? It's on us to protect ourselves, which is why I'm happy to partner with today's sponsor, Aura. Aura keeps me safe online by doing all of the hard work so I don't have to. They identify the data brokers selling my information and can submit opt-out requests on my behalf. Give Aura just a few weeks and you'll stop seeing your information on these sites when you search yourself. Aura will continuously monitor the dark web and alert me if they find my personal information exposed, letting me know instantly if anyone tries to use said information to access my credit or bank accounts. Plus, they give me up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst case scenario happen. Just click the link in the description box below or go to aura.com/jobry and get your first 14 days completely free, which is more than enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data has been exposed. Huge thanks again to the wonderful folks over at Aura for keeping us safe, but mostly sponsoring this video. Thanks for doing that. Gerald Norman Springer was born in 1944 at London's Highgate Station. His parents were Jewish refugees fleeing Nazi Germany, and 5 years later, his family would move to New York, where he would spend most of his childhood. From a young age, Springer seemed to take an interest in politics and law, pursuing both in the education system and taking up a position as a political aide to Robert F. Kennedy, the original Robert F. Kennedy, shortly before he was assassinated. In spite of his boss's untimely death, Springer remained active in local politics while also working at a law firm. In 1970, during a stint as director of the Ohio Youth Corps at the age of 26, he testified in front of the U.S. Senate on lowering the voting age.
My name is Jerry Springer, and I'm currently serving in the United States.
What was the voting age before?
Knox, Kentucky. This past year, I served as chairman of the Cincinnati Committee to lower the voting age to 19.
19.
Despite the fact that he lost very narrowly in Ohio by somewhat less than 1% of the vote, we did.
You're telling me Jerry Springer
Hamilton County by over 10,000
was in politics
I got to know
before
many of the young people
he
in that
became
community become quite concerned about the
the host of the Jerry Springer Show?
Defiantly anti-war Democratic platform. He lost, but a year later, he would be elected to the Cincinnati City Council. This launched his career career in politics. In fact, he quickly became well known amongst the electorate for his strong left-wing position on abolishing the military draft, improving female representation in workplaces, advocating nuclear disarmament, focusing on rehabilitative justice, and emphasizing environmental protection. He endorsed left-wing candidate George McGovern during the primaries for the 1972 election and ascended the ranks quickly of the city council to vice mayor, with his own mayoralty set for 1975. In this time, he also became popular amongst voters for his unique political flair, partaking in various stunts, even being nominated for a local nightclub's Dad of the Year award, despite not being a father at the time. However, Springer's budding journey into politics came to a screeching halt in 1974 when he resigned for what was called at the time family reasons. But the real reason came to light shortly after, when a police raid of a bar in northern Kentucky revealed that Springer had paid a prostitute to have sex with him. The most incriminating evidence being he paid by check.
It is my fondest wish to re-enter public life, but I believe it in the best interest of this community.
Why does he low-key look like
until such time that the
an Oompa Loompa?
Springer voluntarily resigned his post from the council, but was re-elected the following year on the back of his popularity with the general public and an ad campaign that addressed the scandal head-on. It also helped that this was in the aftermath of a little impropriety called Watergate, so it wasn't like his opponents could really accuse him of anything worse than what old Tricky Dick had gotten up to. In 1977, Springer was selected for mayor, a role in which he served for 1 year.
Well, I think it's very important to have entertainment in the downtown area. If our only investment is in office buildings, then as soon as 5 o'clock comes, everybody goes home and our downtown will be empty. So the idea is to give people reasons to come on downtown.
During his tenure, he played a major role in Cincinnati's cultural renaissance, spearheading projects which sought to renovate the city's downtown area through the securing of urban development grants and overseeing various enrichment programs, such as the Summer Basketball League and Cincinnati's first ever rock concert, which was headlined.
Y'all want to hear? I got a thank you message from the person, from the people who made my case. It was like some $7 case on Amazon, but like I didn't need anything fancy, you know what I mean? Dear valued customer, we at Desero retally appreciate your business, and we're so grateful for the trust you're placed in us. We're so thankful you purchased our product in the big world at Amazon retailers. It's our honor to provide our products and services for you. We continue to grow our commitment to you as a customer. These are all sentences. As we continue to grow, period, our commitment to you, period, as a customer, period, will always remain the same, period. We value our customers, period, and for every product and service, period. Our goal is to exceed your expectation and bring you unique, period, durable, period, and quality products. These are not commas. If you are happy and enjoy using our product, period, please share your thoughts with us, period. Your encouragement, why is this second sentence so good, gives our startup a significant boost in this highly competitive, there's no I, market. We also appreciate hearing how we can improve and better support you in the future. Last but not the least, period, all our product come with a league time warranty. Please scan the QR code or visit the link below to register. Thank you so much. We're honored to have clients like you. Sincerely, Desero. Wow. Beautiful. I don't know if I really need a lifetime warranty for a $6 phone case, but thank you. I guess I'll take it. Wonder if those ever work. They give me some stickers though. Those are cute. Here's some cute little stickers. Cute little stinkers, as they would probably say.
The Eagles. It was clear that Springer enjoyed the influence that such a position gave him, but he didn't like that it only lasted a year, which left many of his economic projects in limbo. In the time following his tenure, he continued to play the part of an eccentric lawmaker, fighting policy with the same enthusiasm he fought Victor the Wrestling Bear. But Mr. Gerald Springer's nagging desire to become a more influential figure in American politics never subsided, and with the 1982 gubernatorial election right around the corner and a healthy amount of time since his little bar trip, he figured, why not give it a shot?
Politicians spend a lot of time talking about and even chasing after German and Japanese companies. Sure, we need more industry, and I hope some of them will come. But what about our own businesses?
This was the first time Springer had considered running for governor. After all, he had been tipped for lieutenant governor in 1978 and had also been looking at a congressional run. By now, it was apparent that the man was only really interested in running the show, and throughout the approach to the Democratic primaries, he ran a flurry of ads, selling himself as the Ohio populist who would support the people of his state above any corporate or political interests. He wanted people to know that he was a tireless fighter who would always speak truth to power, even releasing ads addressing his own scandals, using it as a testament to his transparency.
Some 9 years ago, I spent time with a woman I shouldn't have, and I paid her with a check. I wish I hadn't done that, and the truth is, I wish no one would ever know.
The way that this is a scandal is crazy to me. I mean, it probably still would be a scandal if, like, a president or something did something like this, but, like, bro, I don't care. Like, is that crazy? I don't care. Like, I don't care.
But in the rough world of politics, opponents are not about to let personal embarrassments lay to rest. Perhaps like you, I'm not sure what any of this has to do with being governor, but maybe my talking to you about this was the point. Ohio is in a world of hurt. The next governor is going to have to take some heavy risks and face some hard truths. I'm prepared to do that. This commercial should be proof. I'm not afraid, even of the truth. And even if it hurts.
It was undeniable that Springer's style of politics won him a lot of favor with the electorate. Only the scope of the task at hand ultimately proved too much for Springer. Although he had won the counties surrounding Cincinnati convincingly, he fell behind throughout the rest of the state to his opponents, who had both held office before. Basically, not enough people knew the name Jerry Springer, so he set out to change that. Throughout his time in politics, Springer had built up a reputation as a media-savvy communicator, and after the disappointment of 1982, he decided that his talents would be put to better use in front of the camera. In November of the same year, Springer took a job at Cincinnati's Channel 5 as a political commentator.
As a kid, did you ever, and you were watching the conventions, did you ever think there'd come a time when you would stand before the American people and say, Ohio cast its vote?
No.
What were you thinking about as a kid?
I was thinking that maybe you could do it.
His big break wouldn't come until 1984. When Channel 5's ratings hit a rough patch, the former mayor was brought on as an anchor to provide a more charged look at the news, with the hope that it would pull the station out of its slump. The choice was met with skepticism from those who thought his energy would be antithetical to that which is expected of newsreaders. An article in the Cincinnati Post that year compared the task to treading water. Yet less than 5 years later, Channel 5's nightly news would top the local TV ratings, with much of the credit being handed to its leading anchorman, Jerry Springer.
Have you heard what Jerry Springer's been saying?
About the home state crisis.
It's enough to make any politician start thinking about life in the private sector.
On Cincinnati's residency law.
It's what an employee does while on the job that counts, not where he happens to bed down with his family at night.
On school prayer.
Well, it just doesn't matter. Those who want to pray will, those who don't, won't.
Jerry Springer's...
The way that this is controversial. Again, bro, it was such a different time.
Commentary on News 5 at 11. People make the difference.
Reports often noted how Springer tore up the formula for a traditional news anchor, the one that was objective and didn't allow personal sentiments to cloud how the information they were dealing with was being delivered. Springer would regularly make asides between stories, but most notably, his style of presentation was underscored.
We're talking Jerry Springer.
That allowed him to showcase an unfiltered perspective that was quintessentially his and provide his personal insight on the day's affairs. Now, this approach to news wasn't uncontentious, and Channel 5, the organization, often made the local newspaper as much as the local news did. But Channel 5 did succeed in driving up ratings and proliferating the hosts as much as it did the stories it reported on, with Springer racking up multiple regional Emmy Awards, firmly establishing himself as a force to be reckoned with.
Indeed, after conflicting testimony as to whether or not he gave permission to sell arms to Iran in exchange for hostages, President Reagan now says he doesn't remember. Well, assuming he's telling the truth, that's no laughing matter. What other major items of foreign policy is he not remembering? And why isn't he writing it down so he won't forget? And what else is his staff keeping from him? By the way, who's running this country anyway?
As Springer's media presence continued to grow, WLWT began to explore how they could make the most
Women-loving women TV.
He'd worked before on other projects and documentaries for the channel, but the executives wanted something more durable. His specialty was politics, which was no surprise given he was a politician at one point, but the question remained as to how you could convert something as contentious and often dry as politics into a ratings-friendly format for your network.
She's smart. She's rich. She's unforgettable.
I always knew that she was destined for bigger and better.
Well, come 1991, a genre known as tabloid talk shows were quickly growing in popularity, led by the inescapable Oprah Winfrey Show, who by this time was averaging approximately 12 million viewers per episode. Popularity aside, a talk show seemed like a good fit for our boy Gerald, as such shows tended to coast off the charisma and popularity of the host, something Springer was known to showcase regularly on Channel 5. People went to
What's Oprah doing now anyway?
Why wouldn't they follow him to his show to provide
I guess she has her own channel, doesn't she? When you're a billionaire, you do whatever you want, to be honest. Just infinite money glitch at that point.
And despite insisting that nothing was assured, by August they were already taping the show with the debut date set for September 30th. It was said that the first season of Jerry Springer was going to be an attempt to tackle serious issues, with Springer's personality being the driving force behind the narrative, while featuring interviews with everyone from public figures to ordinary people. It would be concluded by his traditional closing commentary that many had come to know him for. In an interview, producer Bob Dubrow stated that in a saturated market full of TV talk shows, it was Springer's unique personality and maturity that was destined to set his program apart from the competition.
Right now, it's time for a new kind of talk.
You know, I love it when the audience starts out with one point of view, and then by the end of the show, they totally change their minds.
Right now, the talk you want is here.
If I'm going to ask people to bare their souls, I've got to bare mine, and I will, on every show.
Right now, you've got a real choice in talk.
Real talk, straight from the heart.
Jerry Springer, the right talk, right now.
Well, what happened with his news anchor? Did he just quit? Or he just got a better offer?
With later episodes. There's a common misconception today that the early seasons of Jerry Springer were a departure from most talk shows and strictly kept to political matters. However, topics of the first season included subjects that weren't exactly uncommon on talk shows at that time. Abusive relationships, sexual promiscuity, drug addiction, family tragedy, you know the drill, often given a flashy title that would draw in the casual viewer.
You've hit women, haven't you? You hit your women, don't you? Only to shock them back to reality. You know? Let that be a lesson. Nobody
get away from reality.
Going off the summaries alone, this didn't feel particularly original, and if we're being honest, it wasn't. But returning to what Burt Dubrow said earlier, Springer had originally wanted to offer a more pragmatic and empathetic angle than many other talk shows that would seek to sensationalize their subjects. He'd even speak to the occasional high-profile public figure, interviewing famous Democratic politician Jesse Jackson and American Dad character Oliver North, which, to nobody's surprise, were Springer's favorite moments.
You knew when you were talking with the Iranians about...
I feel like interviews just don't sell. Like, I've never really been that interested in, like, watching interviews, honestly. Unless they're, like, really interesting or have, like, a gimmick to them. Like, Hot Ones. Hot Ones is interesting because, like, you know, they're eating chicken, hot chicken. And that's pretty interesting. That's a novel idea. We need more like that. We need to torture celebrities. That's what we need to do. Every show needs to torture a celebrity. In my humble opinion.
The United States had said on television, we will not deal with the terrorists. He was telling other countries, please don't deal with the Iranians, don't deal with the terrorists.
Yeah, and even to this day, in his own memoirs, President Reagan says, we really didn't trade arms for hostages because we were dealing with the Iranians, and the Iranians weren't the captors. Now, it's a distinction without a difference.
It was apparent that Springer wanted to take the
Why are the
subject
clips so low volume?
heavy-handed treatment on TV and to approach them delicately and sensitively, and not, quote, in a trashy way. More on how that turned out.
Did the 90s just not have audio? What's going on?
Reception was mixed. Many were genuinely moved by Springer's handling of certain affairs, but others still felt that the subjects were too sleazy to actually warrant Springer's attention, and that the emotional weight of many of these stories diluted Springer's acerbic personality that they saw on the news.
If you just joined us, this is our first show, and we're putting together people who haven't seen each other for 35 years.
In Cincinnati, Springer debuted to some of the highest ratings ever seen by a local network. However, this gradually declined over the season, and in other cities where producers were testing the water, the reception seemed even cooler. Even in another Ohio city, Cleveland, the response from audiences was far from overwhelming. This wasn't exactly a surprise for a TV show debuting with a host who was an unknown to practically all of the country, but Jerry Springer couldn't afford to remain an unknown.
He's been living on the street since he was 9 years old when his father shot him in the stomach and left him for dead. On the streets of Hollywood, he's known as Tweaky Dave. He's now 19, a junkie, a former male prostitute, and he's dying from leukemia.
In 1992,
Jesus. All right.
Gave networks the confidence to make his series part of a
Is giving him a platform a good idea?
NBC alongside two far more
According to ratings,
yes. Donahue and Sally Jesse Raphael. This deal would mean national distribution of the show and a studio move to Chicago, all of which would ensure more syndication for Springer and his self-titled program. The second season debuted in 1992, and although ratings were a strong improvement from the year before, with more consistent viewership throughout the country, there were signs that maybe this was beginning to take a toll on Springer's credibility with audiences. Although Springer's MO sought to introduce a veneer of seriousness to the tabloid subjects that many shows addressed in the time, the subjects themselves, which seemed to be venturing further into the provocative, were met by many with disapproval. At the time of the second season, Springer still had his newsreading job at Channel 5, but ratings appeared to be slipping there as well, with some theorizing that his association with the talk show industry were interfering with people's ability.
Why is it always that, like, talk shows do way too much? Like Steve Harvey, he does so many things, and I don't know who's asking for that. Got his own show, he has Family Feud, he does like 4 other shows.
Milk bottles?
He still
What the
defended
fuck?
presentation of his talk show, stating that a majority of the episodes weren't actually remotely sleazy, and that it was just TV clickbait in an attempt to lure viewership. It's hard to say how accurate this was, because reception was still mixed, and although many were quick to highlight Springer's more placid personality, some felt that it mostly took a back seat to the antics on the show. Springer, whose personality could at one point light up Cincinnati, now often felt part of the scenery in his own show. The only standout element was was the closing monologue, which many would not have been around to see if they'd already switched off. And switching off, they apparently were.
You're up on stage. What do you do on stage that gets
I might go out and kick somebody in the head. I might grab a girl and force her to perform oral sex with me. I've had sex on stage with men, women,
Jesus Christ, man.
See, the thing of it is, in rock and roll, there can be no limits or no laws, because when you start drawing laws and limits, then you might as well not even call it rock and roll anymore. You might as well sell out to the corporate government like it's already done.
It's not rock and roll. There's nothing to do with rock and roll.
On the surface, ratings of the Jerry Springer Show didn't draw too much attention from a world already inundated by talk shows. However, there were murmurings behind the scenes as to whether Springer's show could survive another year. At the start of 1994, in an article written in the Chillicothe Gazette, it was revealed that Springer was expecting to leave behind the tabloid topics entirely and focus instead on the real issues that were currently plaguing America, stating that, quote, "When we've done the hard issues, that's when ratings jump." As mentioned earlier, the commonly held belief that Jerry Springer's show started with sole focus on strictly political matters was not true. In many ways, Springer was covering topics that wouldn't have set him apart from much of the crowd. It was only his approach that did, and even that didn't feel personal enough to win over a lot of audiences. However, with the desire to change up the content, it seemed that Springer was finally going to embrace his political roots once more, and was finally going to use the show to make a positive change in the world, one that would allow him to embrace who he felt he truly was. But things didn't exactly pan out that way.
But before we talk to Mark, let's meet his wife.
What? Not the horse girl.
We all just read what Springer declared in early 1994 that he was going to make his show more serious and focus on the issues that matter. This was supported by then-producer Terry Murphy, who took on the role after Burt Dubrow, the show's original producer, who had been promoted to senior vice president at the show's production company, Multimedia Entertainment. Though Murphy would depart the show in 1994 to go work on The Gordon Elliott Show, another tabloid talk show from someone I've never heard of, but apparently he's British, so that should tell you everything. Murphy's replacement, an up-and-coming impresario by the name of Richard Dominic, was informed of the Herculean task that awaited him, a ratings deficit he needed to turn around to save the show. Now, conflict and debauchery was nothing new to Springer, but the idea of intentionally manufacturing them was, and by May, the Jerry Springer who had committed to phasing out tabloid topics was nowhere to be found. With subjects that seemed just as provocative as ever, and with even more emphasis on the sleaze, in one episode he visits a new dancing diner called Cafe Erotica and holds a debate over whether such places are appropriate. A debate that may have been served better if one side wasn't completely naked. Over the next following months, Jerry's topics attracted criticism from the media, who branded it tacky and irresponsible programming, especially for a daytime talk show which could be watched by anyone. Regardless, it appeared to work in retaining the ratings that secured the future of the show. In fact, with every passing month that Springer leaned into these subjects, he only seemed to attract more and more viewers. By mid-1995, he had gone from almost having his show canceled to besting contemporary Phil Donahue in the numbers game. But Springer's descent into the surreal and absurd had an adverse effect too, as it began to draw more and more backlash from audiences and networks alike.
I don't want to work on the streets. I want a place of my own. I want things of my own.
My pimp is ruining my life.
I want to lead peacefully. I hope that we can,
For starters, we would always be friends, but I wouldn't want you to leave this here game alone. It's like this here. If somebody leaves this here game alone, statistics have proven once they leave, they have bad luck. I mean, it's just not right.
A May 1995 article revealed that some channels weren't planning to renew the show, and how others had already been pulling certain episodes off the air due to the increasingly vulgar and explicit nature of the content involved. Sure, there were other channels willing to pick up Jerry from any setbacks he may have experienced, but this still represented an overall increasing discomfort with the material Springer was showcasing on a daily basis. Although Springer repeatedly referenced the fact that these were people who were willing to present themselves on the show as a snapshot of America, it would be hard for even the most uncritical viewer hard to not kind of question the ethics of the content he was producing. I spoke about Tyler Oliveira last month and about this notion of poverty porn, and how filming people going through struggle isn't actually substantive if you don't have anything to supplement it, and Springer was pretty much in the same lane at this point. Many of these episodes were so dedicated to conflict and tastelessness that any point that Springer may have tried to make in a closing monologue would just be lost amongst the rest of what people had just seen.
I wish we could be together, but there's an element that's distracting us from getting together intimately.
What is that? Oh no.
Well, I'm not what I seem to be.
What are you?
It was little secret that Springer took a somewhat aloof stance on the morals surrounding what he had created, but at least in the
It's
past,
so
he
bad
did
because it literally just
very
makes like a
open
mockery out of
affairs,
it.
which would leave viewers with something to chew on. That sincere desire to actually pursue content that may improve society was no longer there. He was just going through the motions day in and day out of creating a machine that would routinely drag its guests through the mud and excuse it as providing us all with a little insight. It seems shocking that a politician previously so preoccupied with matters like social justice wouldn't even
What is that
consider the
picture?
implications of such content, but maybe he did and just decided to push on regardless. Either way, in less than 2 years, Springer had once again turned his career around and was quickly becoming one of the most recognizable names in daytime TV, all by abandoning any sense of principle he may have had. The networks tried to temper the subject matters that were bothering certain audiences, but Springer and Dominic persisted in their pursuits all the same, continuing to roam the seedy debauchery of America's underbelly. By 1997, the show was already staring down a reputation as one of the most notorious broadcasts in the country, but little did people know that it could actually get worse.
Welcome back. Today we are talking to Klan members to see if they will give up their racist beliefs. Well, my next guest...
What? The 90s were insane, dude. Oh my god. What? You can't just... You can't just do that. You can't just... What?
Says he's fighting mad over the things our guests today have been saying, and he's going to set them straight. That's what he wants to do. He's a controversial civil rights leader as well. He's the founder of the JDL, the Jewish Defense League, a very controversial organization. Here is Irv Rubin and his bodyguards, Al and Joseph.
Between season 6 and season 7 of his self-titled show, Jerry Springer decided that now that he had settled into his Chicago groove, he would find some additional part-time work, eyeing up a position at the Chicago-based television station WMAQ-TV, who were also affiliated with the Channel 5 banner that he had previously worked under in Cincinnati. Going off his prior performance in such a role, someone like Jerry Springer would be perfectly suitable for a commentary position at the local network, and his enlistment to the station was announced to great fanfare, with the promise of one of his iconic closing commentaries. And yet...
She walked away last night from her multi-million-dollar news anchor job. Carol Maureen, one of Chicago's most respected journalists, quit after learning that talk show host Jerry Springer would be joining her news team as a commentator.
Jeez,
Springer is best known for his highly controversial and lowbrow subject matter.
Springer's appointment was met with widespread backlash from both the public and the profession alike, with many pointing towards his brand of trash TV as so far removed from any sense of journalistic integrity that his presence would be incompatible with the channel's values. Two high-profile anchors at the time, Carol Maureen and Ron Majors, both threatened to walk if his hiring was followed through on. Springer clapped back, calling their protests arrogant and implying that they should really be welcoming him because he's going to bring interest to the table.
I think these television shows are some of the worst that television has to offer. I made a decision that I could not share a news desk, introduce,
The most 90s looking woman in the history of 90s
on a
women.
newscast that I believe tries very hard to do some decent work.
Shortly after Springer officially joined the news
Because
station,
what was
Maureen
that
quit
haircut,
on a
girl?
lucrative contract, and protests against
What
Springer's
were we
inclusion
doing in the
escalated
90s?
even further. Springer attempted to perform his job in spite of all this, producing a commentary that defended his inclusion as a free speech issue, comparing his contributions to Nazi marches he permitted as mayor of Cincinnati, which I would argue isn't the best comparison he could have gone with there.
But this is the freedom we sought when we escaped to here. So we must never be a party to silencing any person or any point of view, no matter how
What?
despicable. If what is being said is nonsense or mean or spiteful or dangerous, or if the person uttering it is unworthy, let the words and ideas fall of their own merit in the free marketplace of ideas.
Oh, that's
not
insane.
because they were silenced or denied a platform. My parents
What?
lost their parents and brothers and cousins to Hitler.
Bro, that is so ignorant. Oh my god. Some bitches do not deserve a platform. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Nazis do not deserve a platform. If you think that like one group of people is inferior to another group of people, you do not deserve a platform. Period. That you're literally causing harm and danger to a group of people just by like spewing your rhetoric. Like, that's crazy.
Hitler, and yet they still said,
That's a
sign
great.
permit. Let him march.
Nevertheless, Springer held his ground and fought his case to remain at the station, citing the many tragedies that his own family had been through and how important his voice could be, along with taking
What are these
a
visuals?
for her resignation.
This elitist snobbery that only people who meet an anchor's approval should be permitted to share.
feel like I'm in a
is
bowling
now being
alley.
hidden in the self-righteous cries of journalistic integrity. Bull, and you can fill in the rest of that word. Please understand, we have no journalism in a free society unless we have commentary from all parts of the community. Look, I am sorry the anchor quit. I'm sorry she found it necessary this week to use me as a stepping stone to martyrdom.
Yes, yeah,
But as
it's
much as
fire
I
out.
detest the elitist
Alright.
snobbery
I'm
on
doing
this issue,
alright. I'm just.
I would never, ever
I was playing some
suggest
Minecraft and then I got sucked into this video.
that she doesn't have a place on our airwaves. She does. But here in America, the rest of us do too. I wish she could have met my dad.
You can see what he's trying to go for
What?
here.
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that next time. I wish you could have met my grandma.
But it just doesn't really land. It feels antagonistic and unprofessional, and shortly after this, Ron Majors also resigned. With mounting pressure and spiraling ratings for the network, Springer's contract was canned after 2 commentaries, rendering those emotional appeals to his heritage and suffering totally ineffective. It was a significant way.
So you lost like 3 anchors just to fire the guy after 2 episodes?
Up call for Springer, who probably didn't feel sufficiently challenged by his role over at the Jerry Springer Show, but was no longer deemed credible enough to hold down a more serious or intellectual role. Springer said that he wouldn't have done news reading if he wasn't able to provide.
What's happening? What's this about? Jerry Springer was a TV. He did a TV show. I don't know if you ever seen like the meme of like, you are not the father. He's that guy. You are the father. Rui, what is this? What did you just type? He's that guy. And his show basically is just like looking at a bunch of like really sad people who are like going through shit and making a spectacle out of them. But I guess he was a politician before, which is interesting. I didn't know that.
His commentaries, and the commentaries presented at the end of the Springer Show were becoming increasingly feudal with mind to the antics that actually transpired during its runtime. The truth
Was that Nazi Santa Claus girl?
With mind to the antics that actually transpired
Right here to
during
strip. What is girl? What are we doing?
its runtime. The truth remains that news reading could
Never thought I would say that
Springer's
sentence.
way out. And after all the drama over at WMAQ,
It's my birthday week. My birthday was Tuesday, so I'm celebrating with a streamathon.
network wanted to touch him with a 10-foot flagpole. Yet, while opportunity may have been narrowing in other lines of work, his own show was about to be handed the opportunity it had always been waiting for. While they were still under the thumb of multimedia and other associates, Springer was still actually pretty restrained in the content that was being produced. It was confrontational and aggressive, sure, but it was still fed through a filter that was designed to appease executives enough to the point where they wouldn't pull the plug on it entirely. After a couple transfers of power, though, the Jerry Springer show...
Not the bodyguard buttoning up the guy's shirt.
Universal in
Over it up,
1996,
slut.
who, unlike their predecessors, decided to give Dominic and Springer the green light for practically anything and everything they
My
wanted
birthday
to do with the
Monday?
show.
Oh, happy
By the
birthday.
fall
Happy
of
belated.
1997, they decided
Birthday
to put
neighbors.
into action.
The truth of the matter is young people are much more open about their lives, much wilder, much crazier, whatever. And so then the show started to grow crazy. Then Universal bought us. And when Universal bought us, they said from now on, you're only allowed to do crazy.
From here on out, while many other daytime talk shows were trying to refine their image in the face of mounting criticism, the Jerry Springer Show moved in the opposite direction, with subjects and conflicts that were only becoming increasingly far-fetched. On October 22nd, 1997, we were given the first taste of their new mantra with an episode titled Clanfrontation.
What is going on?
What else can I really say to that? This broadcast squared off the Ku Klux Klan with the Jewish Defense League, who, if you can believe it, didn't see eye to eye on most issues, descending into unadulterated
I wonder
violence
why.
almost immediately.
Why? Why this? Oh my god! What is this?
But this wasn't the first time something like this had happened. In 1993, the Jerry Springer Show encountered its first fight when an episode tastefully titled Black Panthers versus White Races spiraled wildly out of control. At the time, the Jerry Springer Show distanced itself from the violence, with the producer commenting that it was not the sort of action they had invited. However, where many saw an incident, Dominic saw an opportunity. And with Universal giving him and Springer a blank check to do whatever they wanted, the rest of season 7 only descended further into chaos.
Today on Spring.
Why did Jerry Springer have a neck brace? Is that part of the lore?
A jilted girlfriend fights back. Plus, Moon revealed the truth to her 2 boyfriends. But she's not through yet.
Moon, there's something you want to tell both of them?
Okay, guys.
Cheaters come clean and things get messy.
It's been a year. I'm ready to confront her.
Today on Spring.
Controversial subjects, angry audiences, unhinged guests, and a hands-off approach to whatever may have happened cultivated a hotbed for bloodshed and bedlam. The outrage from viewers offended by this content only continued to grow, with many begging networks to drop the show as they had done before, but the truth of the matter was that ratings spoke, and with the new era of the show being ushered in, Springer was hitting numbers that he had never seen before, both domestically and
Meeting
internationally.
Oprah is crazy.
An audience who possessed a perverse interest in
You think
the
Oprah was ever like, maybe I should do this? I should pivot.
insanity that the show wrought. A December 1997 article in the Winston-Salem Journal showed the many lenses that Springer viewers saw the show through. And although there are differences in how each person justified their enjoyment, the overarching theme was one of distance from the actual reality that the show portrayed, with some even going as far as to suggest it likely wasn't real. This wasn't an uncommon perspective at the time, particularly with the escalating hysterics and antics that the show was platforming.
Are talk show guests for real?
Needed a justification for that morbid curiosity that brought them in. As quickly as the moral outrage grew, so did the viewership. And controversies that would end most TV shows only boosted Jerry Springer further into the spotlight. The following year, an entire episode dedicated to a man marrying a horse was pulled for glorifying bestiality. And yet, the episode is just as ridiculous as it sounds.
I happened to be brushing down at her tail end, and she lifted her tail up, and...
Chop. Chop. What is going on? What is happening?
there it was in all its glory.
To be fair, I don't think this is the sort of content that would inspire someone to go out to the zoo and find their own personal soulmate, but it definitely highlighted America's obsession with creating their own human zoos and circuses, with Springer as their ringmaster. With Universal's oversight, the Jerry Springer Show indulged in everything that they were told to tone down before, and they were experiencing unforeseen success thanks to it, even as Jerry Springer bled credibility among the same circles he once used to fraternize with, something that may have once given him reason to pause. He doubled down on the trash TV that had given him this reputation in the first place, and he was pulling the rest of America down with him. However, there were reasons why they may have been told to take it down a notch in the past. The release of one constraint might draw another if you're not careful, and that was something Springer likely knew more than anyone else. Jerry Springer was springing toward the new millennium with some of the best ratings he'd ever seen, going so far as to beat out Oprah in multiple cities and on multiple networks.
Oh, my
His
girl.
setback was met with one step forward. By this point, he felt that his show wasn't any worse than much of the content that people were being exposed to on a daily basis. He wrote a book called Ringmaster and then featured in a film also called Ringmaster that attempted to satirize his style of content.
I ain't gotta worry about touching me.
Okay, I think I'm gonna pause because I want to go back to Minecraft. If I so may. It's my stream. I don't know why I'm asking. Back to the craft. That was supposed to just be a short break while I ate. I got kind of sucked in. But I really should not watch the whole thing. Maybe we'll finish it another time. We'll play another like hour, I guess, and then we'll switch into GTA. I'm behind, but that's what it is. Not that far behind. Only be like 2 hours. So I was gonna explore, but now I'm feeling like maybe I should not do that since I like died. Let me cut streaming